I need to spell tomorrow. 2 R's. Okay. Hey guys, welcome to another video. Today I will be talking about ways to manage your time and make sure you have time for God. I'm going to give you a few tips on how to manage your time, procrastinate less, get more things done, and make more time for God. Most people really struggle with managing their time and getting things done. And as Christians, sometimes it's really hard for us to work time for God into our busy schedules. But how do you think that makes God feel? We, humans, have a hard time finding just a few minutes of our time to spend with our Father and Creator. But really, we should be working our schedules around time with God, not the other way around. God should always be our top priority. This is not as much a method as just something that everyone should do. Make a list of all the things that you need to get done. Then, order that list so that everything that is the most important that you have to get done first, put those things at the top of the list and order them by what's most important. Prioritize. If you have a few things at the top of your list that are equally as important and some are smaller than others, put the smaller ones first. The more you can get done in a shorter amount of time, the more accomplished you'll feel and the more motivated you'll feel to do the rest of what you need to do. And it is okay to rewrite your list a few times. It's actually the best thing to do to make sure that you have a good order, and don't spend a super long time on it either, or else it's kind of defeating the purpose of managing your time. But spend a few minutes. Also, cross off each task as you complete them, because that also adds to the sense of accomplishment and the motivation. And make sure you take breaks, and this applies to all of these methods that I'm going to teach you today. Make sure you always take breaks, because you can't function without taking breaks. Another method that I just started trying out this summer and I really like so far is keep a log. This is one method that's really good for anyone who's determined or driven and likes to be very organized. This is a really good method for you, but even if you're not those things, I think you should still at least give it a try. Each day, plan out the following day as best as you can. I generally do it by the hour for the most part, or as accurately as I can get it. I'll estimate how long each task should take me and leave a little bit of room for leeway for anything that might come up, including procrastination, and plan that out as best as I can. I have just a regular notebook here. I'm going to show an example. Let's say tomorrow I want to exercise and record a video and clean my room. And then also somewhere I have to go somewhere at 2 o'clock. I don't know, I'm making this up as I go. So let's say I wake up at 8 o'clock because it's summer. I like to do it kind of decorative, but you don't have to. So I put tomorrow at 8 o'clock. Wake up. So just like that. So you kind of get the gist of it. Plan out your day as accurately as you can. If I don't plan this out like this, I would not get all of the stuff done that I wanted to. I would leave something out because I would just end up laying around watching Netflix or YouTube, not doing anything, not feeling like doing anything, and I would waste my day. But if you plan it out and leave some time for free time, then you have that promise that you've made to yourself, I'm gonna let myself have free time later, so I need to get my things done now. As you go throughout your day, write down what actually happens and compare it to your original plan. So then in the future, the next time you plan out your day, you can better estimate how long it will take you to do things and how much you might procrastinate or get distracted, how often you need to leave room for unexpected things that might come up, and it'll help you set more realistic goals. In addition to telling you how much you can actually get done in a day. And then whenever you compare what you had originally planned with what actually happened, then you can know areas you need to improve and what types of activities might cause you to procrastinate more. Things like that you might want to save for later after you've done the most important things of the day. One really common method is just using a calendar, a plain old calendar. I don't know if you can see it well, but I have one hanging up right there. Write down the exact times of events on the corresponding dates as you learn of them. So if you find out about some big projects you have to do for school or work, and it's due on a specific day, put it on your calendar as soon as you hear of it so that when you see it and look at your calendar, you'll be reminded. You can also use a calendar on your phone, obviously. There's the calendar app, and you can use that to set reminders for yourself. I personally don't prefer that because I just like having it in front of me. I like having something physical. It kind of just depends on your preference. Also, sometimes it can be helpful to cross off the days as they pass. Once you've crossed it off, you can just kind of like let go of it. Be like, okay, I'm done with that. I don't need to worry about that anymore. And also when you look at the calendar, you'll know what day it is. Sometimes I struggle with that. Another method that I find really useful is using a planner. I personally prefer the planners that have a calendar spreadsheet like this, and then on the following pages, so they have room for notes over here. Those are really nice to have sometimes. But then also there's room for notes for each individual day. But whatever planner you pick out, make sure it's one that you like the layout of. This is just what I prefer. The school I go to is one where we're allowed to get ahead in our work if we try hard enough. So for me, using a planner is really helpful. Obviously, you have to make goals. Goals are a big part of managing your time. So start off by making one big goal. Even though this says June and it's not June, let's just pretend that this is January and I'm planning up to spring break. Let's say I just wanted to do 5 units in each subject from the time Christmas break is over until spring break. I would figure out where spring break was on my calendar, but I'm just gonna say in order to reach my big goal, I have to test out of 2 units each week. That's not in each subject, that's just 2 units total. So I'd write it like this on the side. So I want to do English Unit 6 and Math Unit 6 in this week. Whenever that week comes, I will better plan out how much I need to do each day in order to reach that smaller goal. I usually like to just kind of plan it out like that. And then I actually had a whole separate planner for being more specific. So I found a blank page like this that has really cute puppies on it. So I would use this, especially whenever finals were coming up, to know like when I needed to start studying and what I needed to get done in each week, not just what units I needed to do, but like everything I needed to do. And then obviously if I had a test or a quiz, then I would put that on there, or if I had a specific class one day, then I'll put it on there and just plan it out the best that I can. And what I would do is I would use this note space to note what I needed to do that week. Then I would use these spaces to plan out what I needed to do each day in order to accomplish these goals. I'm sorry if any of this sounds super complicated. I have a tendency to over-organize sometimes, but it's fun. I mean, I get things done, but that's why I'm giving you different methods as well, is because I know that the same things don't work for everyone. Sticky notes. Sticky notes are perfect for anyone who is forgetful, which is oftentimes me, and I believe oftentimes nearly everyone. Sticky notes are a great way to remind yourself of anything that you need to get done. Always make sure you put them in a good spot though. So if you're using an actual pad of sticky notes and you write a note to yourself, let's say you have to run an errand after you leave work. If you put that sticky note in your lunchbox, then you'll see it at lunch. You'll be reminded of it at lunch, but then by the time you actually leave work, you'll have completely forgotten about it. So rather than putting it in your lunchbox, put it on your steering wheel. So then as soon as you get into the car, you'll see that sticky note and you'll drive straight to the place you need to go without forgetting. So the placement and when you will be looking at the sticky note is everything. I have also noticed that my computer, my laptop, has a sticky notes app on it. I have Windows 10 and the sticky notes app came pre-installed. This app is really useful to me because most of my homework is done on my laptop and I always have it with me at school. This app can be used to put virtual sticky notes on your desktop. You can make as many separate ones as you want, and you can change the color of them. You can do things such as bold, italicize, underline, even strike through, and you can make lists and all those types of things, which is really helpful sometimes. And they even have a new feature that they recently added that you can add images. Now, if you're a very unorganized person and don't like doing all this extra stuff that I like to do, which is understandable, one thing that I've seen people do, but I've never liked to do myself, is writing little notes on your hands. And obviously, if you need to look nice that day for work or school or just somewhere you need to be, I don't advise using this method. But if you don't have to worry about those types of things, then make sure it's to where you can see it so that whenever you are using your hands, you'll see it there and you'll read it. That's more for just quick notes like call this person later. Just something like kind of unspecific. It's best for those types of things most of the time, not for anything with a specific time. If you do have something that you have a specific time you need to do it, I would advise setting an alarm instead, an alarm on your phone, which some people will set alarms without setting labels, and I think that's not a very good idea because then you might forget what it was that you set the alarm for. So use the option to make a label with what you need to actually do. Now, a whiteboard is something that's really great to have for anyone, and it's good for just quick notes as well versus the writing on the hand. Although obviously you can't really carry a whiteboard around with you, but if you have it in your room or at your desk or wherever you work, then it can be really helpful. I have one hanging on my wall up there, and then I also have this one. It's like a little desk size one. It stands up on its own. It lights up. It's also very dirty right now. This is just like a really cute desk one that I like to use sometimes, but generally I use the one that I have on my wall. So anytime I have a random thought or want to make a random note to myself for later, or if I have a list of things that I need to do, then I'll write it on my whiteboard. If I wake up and have a dream that I don't want to forget for some reason, I just thought it was a cool dream, then I'll go and write it on my board as quickly as I can so I won't forget it. But whiteboards can be used for pretty much anything, and it doesn't have to be like a big whiteboard or a big one for school. You can get a smaller one, and you can even get one that you just have laying on your desk. You don't even have to hang one up, it can just be one on your desk. I generally don't use it to write super important reminders because I don't look at it often enough for those types of things. I have so much stuff written on it already that if I were to write important stuff, I would just skip over it. But it can definitely be used that way as long as you don't put too much stuff on it. Also, if you just want to write a little bit of inspiration for yourself for each day, if you want to write an inspirational quote or a Bible verse, then a whiteboard is a great place to do that too. And you can get different colored markers, obviously, and make it all pretty and everything. So you can just have fun with it. So I couldn't find a whole lot of verses that I thought would be good to put in this video, but I found a couple. 1 Corinthians 14:40 in the ESV, English Standard Version. But all things should be done decently and in order. I feel like that just goes perfectly along with the topic of this video and some of the things that I was saying. Then also Matthew 6:6 NIV. But when you pray, go into your room, close the door, and pray to your Father who is unseen. Then your Father, who sees what is done in secret, will reward you. Always make time for God. Go close yourself in your room and pray. Spend time with Him. Spend time in the quietness, just listening for His voice. Since you're doing it in secret and not doing it just because it's what other people want you to do, when you go and do it in secret and do it to yourself, then that shows God that you're doing it because He wants you to and because you want to, not because other people say you should. I don't have many other extra resources for this video either. This video is a little bit different than my first one, but I do have a book called Rest Assured by Vicki Courtney. I love this book. This is the perfect book for finding time for God and finding time for rest. And it is a Christian book. It just has a lot of really great stuff. It'll ask you questions that it wants you to answer. And then it also has challenges in each chapter. And it's like trying to get you to really spend time with God and give yourself some rest from your everyday struggles and responsibilities. Just let yourself have that time with God. I really love that book. I haven't quite finished it yet, but it is really good and is really useful. It's really helpful. And after trying different methods and stuff like that, just make sure that you remember that we shouldn't be planning our schedules and then adding in time for God. We should be setting a time to spend with God daily and then working our schedules around that as best as we can. Obviously, sometimes some people can't really do that as well because they have varying schedules, so they can't have a set time for God. But just make sure you spend time with Him every day. I like to do my devotional at nighttime right before bed, so then I can sleep on it. When I'm getting ready for bed, that's when I'm settling down and I'm done with everything I need to be done with for the day, and I can sleep on everything that I read or thought of during my devotional time. And then I pray while I'm in bed. But some people like to wake up and do their devotional then. I personally have a hard time doing that because I'm pretty busy in the morning trying to get ready, but a lot of people like to do that because then you can apply what you learned that morning throughout your day. So it's whatever works for you. Just make sure you have a time set aside to spend with God. And I've mentioned a couple times that time with God doesn't always have to mean praying or reading the Bible or devotional. Sometimes it means just sitting there in the quietness and trying to listen to what God is telling you. Try to put aside all your other thoughts and just focus on God and wait for Him to speak to you. And that whole idea I actually got from this book. So this is an awesome book. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys learned something from this video, and I hope that I gave you some useful methods to use. Let me know in the comment section if you have any more ideas that might help other people to organize and manage their time better, or things that you've tried and really liked, and let me know which ones are your favorite that I mentioned. Also, if you have any other topics you want me to make a video on and talk about, then let me know in the comments, because I have a lot of ideas, but I want to make videos that you guys want to watch and learn about. So just let me know. My faith can move mountains, and so can yours. Bye guys.